So to go into our next part, when we start looking at megatech, one of the questions that always comes to mind is, what do I do with all these people I meet? How do I effectively build my database to make the phone ring again? So to help me with this, I asked one of our coaches to come and talk with me, who I call him the king of the database, because he lives and breathes his entire life through his database. So please welcome to the stage, Brad Korn. Come on over, Brad.
Hi, Carrie.
Hey there. All right, you're right there.
All right. Hey, everybody. I figured out how to get an ROI on your Google Glass. This is it. This is what you get. Yeah, I can turn those off now.
So you told me when I saw you, you were like, this is the one thing I can do with my Google Glasses.
This is it. Conversation piece at Starbucks. It's the best database capturing tool I found with glasses. Yeah. I'm always
So if
thinking
you
about
didn't have any marketing tips yet, you have one now. So Brad and his wife run a team, have over 6,000 people in your database, closed $13 million in the last 12 months, on track for 99 transactions this year. And really, I mean, you set the goal, you want 100. I think he's pretty close with 99 to be on track. But you really control that spigot. You control exactly how many closings you want at the end of the year with you and Sonia.
We really do. I mean, I think if you guys have been to stuff in the past, it's a machine. It is a 100 transaction machine. It's automatic.
Well, and you and your wife Sonia had a transition in your team recently. Tell me a little bit about it.
Yeah, I actually was talking to somebody about it earlier, and it was Ron Armstrong expanding his team. Well, our teams also contract as well. When the market changed and I went from having 8 people on my team, right now we're down to 3 people. That's me, Sonia, and an admin person.
And so you had to jump back into working the database.
Yeah.
How hard of a transition was that? How much business did you lose because of that?
Well, the funny thing is I never left working the database. I always worked the database. I always feed it every day. Even when I had a team and I focused on them feeding the database, it was me feeding the database every single day, every single day.
And I hear that Gary issued a challenge to our MAPS coaches.
He did.
You all need to hear this, because when they issue the challenge to the MAPS coaches, it's a challenge to all of our agents. What's that challenge? Yeah,
Tony DeCello in our coaches training, he would tell us that Gary's got a challenge out. And he says, you guys should have 2,000 people in your database right now and get to 5,000 as soon as possible. Now the challenge is that if you have 5,000 people in your database, and I want to clarify that because we're going to talk a lot about this today, and it's the connection. You want 5,000 connections in your database. There is no more roller coaster, and I love what Gary says all the time. It's like the market conditions don't matter whether you guys are busy or not. It's how you run your business and how consistent you stay in touch with people, and it's consistent, persistent over time.
So people are always buying, and it's trying to find those right people in your database that are buying at that time.
Yeah, okay, I can get some crazy numbers going here. We all know the national statistic from NAR is that the average person moves every 7 years. In fact, you guys have probably felt with the slower market, it might be going to 10, right? So if you have 1,000 people in your database and everybody's moving every 10 years, would you guys agree that NAR is pretty accurate on some of these statistics that they put out? They didn't just pull them out of the air, right? So if you have 1,000 people in your database and everybody's moving every 10 years, that's 100 people moving this year. That's 100 people moving next year and 100 people moving the next year and the next year.
So how do you know how to find those 100 people? How do you make sure when those 100 people in your database are ready to move this year that you're the guy?
They go in my database the minute I meet them. And I focus on putting 5 people in my database a day. I mean, this is all stuff we've heard forever, and guys, all I did was grab onto it and say, pages 133 through 148 of The Millionaire Real Estate Agent, I read that section over and over and over and over, and I just started feeding my database every day. Meet 5 people a day. If you meet 5 people a day, 5 days a week, and you actually take 2 guilt-free days off a week, you will add 1,200 people to your database this year, in the next 12 months. And if you do it again next year, you'll add another 1,200. So now my 120 sales this year, you guys follow me on the math? 120 this year, I add 1,200 more people next year because I'm focused on 5 a day every day. That's what I do during my lead gen. That's now 240 people moving the second year because the second 120 people from the first 1,200 are moving the second year and the next 120 people.
So you're building that. So you're building that flow.
Yeah.
Now, a lot of people might be sitting there thinking and listening and saying, "Gosh, with that many people in it, I need to hire an admin who's just cleaning my database all the time." Do you hand that off to somebody else?
Guys, this is probably one of the biggest things we talk about in coaching, and I get it all the time. It's like I'm going to hire an admin to come in and clean up my database. Here's the way I want you to look at your database from now on. You own a bank. Okay, we actually do own banks. We create money. We sell real estate. We create commissions. So picture that you own a bank, and you're going to call somebody and hire an $8, $9, $10, heck, even $15 an hour help person to come in, and you hand them the keys to the vault, and you say, "Can you go back there and clean that vault up for me? It's a mess. We got money laying everywhere. Could you go clean that up?" And I'm just
I want
like,
to be that cleaning person.
huh?
I want to be that cleaning person.
Exactly. And you know where that came from is Gary says your database is, capitalize the word is, your business. And so that just made me think, that's the bank vault. Your database is the bank vault.
So walk me through, what is your system? How do you work your database? What are the steps that you go through as you're working your database?
So here's the thing on the database. Almost all of them have, the missing piece I see a lot of people miss out on is the campaigns and the action plans. If I'm going to add 1,200 people to my database this year and next year and next year and next year, how do I keep track of who to call next, whatever? It's so easy to put them on an automatic follow-up plan, but really, Carrie, all I do is I go in and I put 5 people's addresses, phone number, email. That's my main goal. Now, I'm not only putting 5 people in my database a day, guys, but I am making sure I get 5 addresses, phone numbers, and emails and connect with at least 5 people a day, and that happens every day.
Well, when we were talking to prep for this, I loved one of the things you say. Do you get email, address, or phone first? Because the easy way out is email, isn't it?
Easy. Yeah, it's so simple to get their address first, because once you get their email, you don't need their address. And isn't it easier? It seems like it's so much easier to just do an all-email drip campaign. Well, I'll ask you, how's that working for you, right? We're talking about a 50-to-1 return on your haven't met database versus a 12-to-2. Have you guys ever calculated a 12-to-2 return? A 12-to-2 return, that is 6 to 8 times more business than a 50-to-1. So when you put your E-Edge in place and you turned on all your 8x8 and 33 touch campaigns, which was awesome. I love, you said our company volume went up by like what, 26%?
Those who had never been using a campaign, those that started using a campaign, increase of production by 67%.
67%. It should have actually went up 667%. Because when you get on a path to a 12-to-2 return, it means for every 12 people, 2 people are doing business with you. So another thing to be careful on, I know I'm getting a little techie on the math, is you may look at your database and go, for example, I had 100 people and I sold 50 homes. That's a pretty good return. But if you looked at those 50 homes, I would bet 4 of them came from those 100 people that were in your database. The other 47 came from everything else we do. Lead generation, Bold came to town, I made a lot of calls, I had a postcard campaign, sign calls, ad calls. So they're not coming out of the database, we're feeding new all the time.
So if we're looking at a 50-to-1 return versus a 12-to-2 return on personal versus non-personal, how many times do you call someone a year? How many times do you talk to someone a year?
Well, again, I've learned to follow models, and when Gary says something, actually this came from a mega camp. It was probably like my second mega camp I came to. You have to be at back then you had to be at 6 million in volume or you couldn't come. It was a very elite group. And I'm sitting there listening to him talk about 8x8 and 33 touch for like an hour, or maybe it was even 2 hours. Okay. I'm sitting there looking around at all you guys going, these are top producers. Why is he talking about this for 2 hours? Because I'd started doing it the year before. And it's 4 times a year, minimum calls 4 times a year.
Wow, for every person in your database, in your 6,000 person database.
For every person in your database, if I set it up on an autopilot, so it just says, let's just say today the 8x8 ends, and I put them on the 33 touch. Okay. My 33 touch has 4 calls scheduled in it. It's at month 3, month 6, month 9, and at month 12. Okay. Now when I originally did, I had 1 call. I was like, dude, 4 calls, this is crazy. I can't do that, you know. So I did 1 call. Well, if you only talk to them once every 6 months, you won't get the return. So I added 4 in there.
How many calls are you making a day?
That's even more amazing, okay? I probably make 17, 20, 22 calls a day.
Okay.
So what I love about this program and Make the Phone Ring Again was designed so that if you start feeding your database 5 people a day and you have this automatic plan that'll kick these calls out, it will eventually fill up your 2 hours of lead generation time that for some reason, most of us in this room don't sit down for 2 hours every day and just pick up the phone and call people.
So that's one of the things that you said to me, which I absolutely loved, and talk about this a little bit. Your database has become your accountability partner.
Oh, my database is my $50,000 a year accountability partner. It's the leverage between where you are right now and your next hire. If you get your systems in place, guys, this is like having a $50,000 a year accountability partner, because from July 1st of 2003, when I started this, January 1st of 2003 to July 1st, 2003, I said I was going to do the 8x8, didn't do it. On July, I finally said, all right, I'm going to do it. By the end of the year, I had added $50,000 to my bottom line, trackable money from the database.
Just from putting them on a campaign
Just by getting
and reaching out and
consistent.
touching.
Yeah.
Consistent.
Yeah.
And when we were talking about it, it's, you've got 17 to 20 calls a day, which just from your database is a lot of calls. You're talking about 5 minutes of research per client before you do it. What are you researching? What do you look at so that you're making those calls productive?
Yeah, so this is kind of fun too, because what I'm doing is this is filling my 2 hours of lead generation time with these calls. I will give myself up to 5 minutes to research somebody to find out more information. What are they talking about on Facebook? Here's what I do is I grab their picture off of Facebook or social media, save it to my hard drive, and attach it to their record. Because I'm going into the record 4 calls a year, when that call pops up and I see their face, the 4th time I see their face, I'm like, oh, if I walk past them at the grocery store, I'll actually know who they are. How many of us are walking past our past clients in the grocery store and we don't even acknowledge them? That's scary right there.
But it happens all the time.
Yeah, and then I went one further and I bolded it, and we added 4 more touches to just, it's a to-do to go find them on social media. So I like what Tony was saying.
Okay.
I mean, it's getting back to social media, and when it says, so here's, you asked how it works. A dashboard pops up, it tells me how many calls to make, how many to-dos to do, the letters and the emails go out automatically. I don't even touch those. So I just do my calls and do my to-dos. So when it says find them on social media, I go Google, I Google their name, up pops Facebook, I click on it, oh, we're already friends, I hit the back arrow, I look, there's LinkedIn, I click on it, not friends there, connect with them there. So over the course of a year, I talk to them 4 times and I connect with them on social media 4 times on 4 different sites.
And so every time that you're calling them, you're actually feeding more information into their database by doing that quick 5 minutes of research.
Yep.
Okay, so that's how you're systematically feeding it and growing it.
Yep.
Now, talk to me about the different mediums that you do. Do you just phone calls and emails? Is that it? What else do you do?
Yeah, here's the biggest thing I figured out in our Make the Phone Ring Again class is that the more mediums you can touch, the more, you guys already sense that I'm like everywhere. They cannot, once you meet me and I have a connection with you and I have a conversation, which means I asked you for your address, and I don't even have to say, hey, can I put you in my database and follow up with you from now on?
That's not the script?
No, it's like, hey, Mike, where are you living now? Oh, I'm over on 7th Street. 7th Street, cool. How many Mikes live on 7th Street in Blue Springs, Missouri? I mean, tax records right there. I grab his address and off we go. So, and I've got a great script for getting addresses too. We have time for that?
Yeah,
all right,
absolutely.
so here's, guys, this is a big script, so just hear it, and when you master it, it'll work. So when a call comes in, you get over the first hump of they called off the sign or whatever. I say, do you want to buy a house, Carrie?
Maybe. I don't know.
Okay, I mean, you're just starting to look.
Maybe.
Would you like to get a good deal?
Well, God, yeah.
Yeah, and if we could find your dream home and get a steal of a deal, that'd be awesome, right?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, so what you're doing is you're looking at all the leftovers by calling on that ad or driving by that house or looking on the website. The websites are 24 to 48 hours out of date.
Okay. Well, I like leftovers. They're yucky.
Yeah, what I can do is put you on my instant notification program. When I mean instant, I mean I'll send you an email, and if you're leaving for your lunch break at noon and you get an email from me at 11, you drive by that house, you'll literally be one of the first people in town to see it.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, and so what I'll do is I'll go ahead and print off a list of all those leftovers. Where would I mail those to?
Oh, gosh, here's my address.
Okay,
Brookline
great. And now if I see a steal, where would I call you? What's the best number to reach you at?
Well, call my cell. I mean, reach me immediately, please.
Okay, great. And do you check email?
Yeah, of course.
How about if I just email all this stuff to you?
Okay,
Sweet.
awesome.
Thanks. I love scripts.
I feel like I just gave it all up.
You gave it all away.
Well, and with your scripts, you have a Reconnect plan. How do you
Oh.
reconnect with those people that are in your database? Walk me through the Reconnect plan.
I'm so glad I have time to give this to you guys as a gift because it's a 4 simple step plan that will really get you hooked on campaigns and action plans. Are you ready? You want it?
Yes.
Okay. I can't see you. Okay, it's 4 steps. Go into your database and go into the campaigns and action plans. You want to create a letter that just says, hey, I was thinking of you today. I apologize for not staying in touch. I'm going to call you in the next few days. I tell the system on day 0 this plan starts, I want this letter to print, and I'll put it in an envelope and mail it. Then 3 days later, oh, P.S., I'm going to call you in the next few days to catch up. I want to see how you're doing. Then 3 days later, a call pops up on my database and it says, call this person on the Reconnect call. So I pick up the phone and call them. Hey, it's Brad. I apologize for not staying in touch. I just wanted to connect. How's the kids doing? How's this? How's that? Right? And then the last item on day 3 is also a to-do to write a handwritten note, to drop them a note in the mail without, and Diana says it all the time, without the words I, me, or my. Write it about them. Write it about that conversation. And then the 4th step is to start the next plan. You've got to have that in anything automated. The more you automate things, the more chances you're going to mess something up.
Yep.
So the one thing I will tell you on that, and I'm going to give you permission just this one time, and I hope Tony doesn't get upset with me, but the one time on your Reconnect plan, try not talking about real estate. Make it about them, and that is a little game I had to play with myself to pick up the phone and actually call people. If I knew I didn't have to sell them on something, I'd just call them and connect. Now, you better, everything after that better be headline, marketing, call to action, branding, everything.
Your handwritten note could mention that.
Handwritten note is just a blank handwritten note, no business card, no nothing. It's about them.
Okay, great plan.
Yeah.
Because great plan to take back with you? All right.
You're welcome.
Well, thank you, Brad.
You bet.
Wildly important for us to build and continue to grow that database that grows our business and sustains, has built your business incredibly well. Thank you so much.
Persistent over time, guys. Just stay with it. Thank you, Carrie.
Consistent, really?
Consistent.
Consistent.
Persistent.
Consistent.
And persistent.
And persistent. Thank you so much,
You
Brad.
betcha.
Round of applause for Brad.